There's a whole better way that the world can be.
Make revolution, get humanity free.
Make revolution.
There's a whole better way that the world can be.
Make revolution, get humanity free.
Make revolution.
That sounds good, that sounds good, let's go. There's a whole better way that the world can be.
There's a whole better way that the world can be.
Make revolution, get
Revolution Club. Revolution Club.
Revolution Club. Who are we? Revolution Club. Who are we? Revolution Club. Who are we?
Revolution Club.
So who are we?
Revolution Club.
There's a whole better way that the world can be.
There's a whole better way.
Get organized.
Get organized
For actual revolution.
for an actual revolution.
For real revolution.
For real revolution.
It's time. It's time.
It's time
To get organized.
to organize
For real revolution.
for real revolution.
Man has forged the way out of this madness. He's authored a constitution that's a blueprint for the kind of society that could be brought into being after the revolution. This is what we need. He's led in developing a plan and a strategy for making revolution. What's missing is you and people like you. And we are out here today to enlist you in this movement for revolution. He was spiriting people away from the plantations. People told her, you can't do this, you're just a little woman. Why should anybody follow you? Well, hundreds of people did, and they got free from slavery. Well, today, we're dealing with modern day slavery. We're on a modern day plantation under this capitalist imperialist system. People are going to tell you when you say, I want to get free from this, they're going to tell you, no, you can't do that. It ain't possible. The system's too powerful. They're going to say, when you say we got a leader who knows how to do it, they're going to say, what? Bob Avakian, that old white guy, you think he can lead us anywhere? And we got to say to them, stop opening your mouth and letting the system's words come out of it. Revolution is possible. The system is powerful, but it's not all powerful. It's got contradictions, it's got problems. Right now, right at the top, the Democrats and the Republican fascists are fighting tooth and nail. Their fight is over what's the best way to keep this system in effect. We ain't got a dog in that fight. But that fight is spreading chaos through the system. It is creating openings for a movement for a real revolution to take hold and advance. It is creating vulnerabilities that the revolution can seize on to bring about as soon as possible the time when revolution is possible. That's why we need to be stepping out now. That's why we have to be militant, serious, determined, and organized. That's why we have to challenge people to get with this movement for a real revolution. And that's what we're out here in Harlem to do.
Power!
Let's keep free revolutionary power.
No more beef, no more divide.
No more beef, no more divides.
Ready to fight revolutionary times.
Ready to fight revolutionary times.
Seize the day, seize the hour.
Seize the day, seize the hour.
Let's get free revolutionary power.
Let's get free revolutionary power. Five, six, seven, eight. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. The solution. What's the problem? What's the solution?
Revolution!
What's the problem?
The whole damn system!
What's the solution?
Revolution!
What's the problem? Yeah, right now.
You're listening from the windows. Put your fist up.
Because look, this is what they're afraid of. afraid of. Their system relies on fear. It relies on keeping you thinking that there ain't shit you can do about it. But let me tell you, when the leadership to actually overthrow and get rid of this fucking system connects up with the very people who have been brutalized, abused, the people who have nothing to fucking lose, when it connects up with them, oh shit, then they're in trouble. When that leadership connects up with a way to get out of all of this, with the people who are capable of doing it, this system has real problems for it, and that is what they fear. That is why they hound us with their police. That is why they divide us. And that is why they keep us thinking that we're too fucked up or that this system is too powerful. Well, it's not. We are powerful, and we can overthrow this system. Join the revolution today and come with us to the 28th precinct. Who are we?
Revolution Club.
Who are we?
Revolution Club.
Who are we?
Revolution Club.
Come with us as well, because you and everybody who you're talking to needs to be at the 28th precinct, and they need to organize beyond that with the Movement for Revolution next week and the week after.
That we are organizing now for a real revolution. We took that message through the streets of Harlem. We brought it here to the 28th precinct. And I will tell you, a lot of people heard us. But nothing is over yet. Today is the start of something, but it's got to be the beginning of more that goes on. This has to keep going. It's got to go forward. It has to be for real
right face facing
in its declaration.
Right face.
We have to be for real in bringing to people that those people who are afraid to stand up and say no more to this shit, we have to be real to bring to them that this system fears you.
Those are the ones that are killing our
This system does not want to see you connecting up with revolutionary leadership. This system does not want to see you raising your head, spreading the message of revolution to many other people, inviting them, struggling with them, and enlisting them in this movement for a real revolution. That's one thing I wanted to say. Here's another thing I wanted to say. We are not alone in this fight. When the NYPD slow-walked our permit, we went out to religious leaders, lawyers, community leaders. They started calling the precinct. They started sending statements. This revolution needs to be allowed to march. In Los Angeles, the sheriffs denied their permit. Told them you can't come to our station and talk about revolution. They built a big campaign, and the sheriffs had to say, oops, we made a mistake. They won their permit battle. We have to see the potential in that. We have to see the basis to bring other people to stand together with the people on the bottom of society who face the brunt of the hell that this system brings down. Most of all, you have to get with this revolutionary leadership that we have. This system is in a deep time of trouble. At the top, the Democrats and the Republic-Fascists are divided up and fighting against each other. Their fight is over how to keep this system together. The masses of people do not have a dog in that fight. But because they're fighting, it means their system is more vulnerable than it usually is. It creates openings for the revolution to seize on. And we have to do that. We have to not waste the time that has been won, not squander the leadership that we have for this revolution. We have to spread it, and we have to bring people to it.
Okay. And let me know when you're ready.
This is what
To show them we're getting organized now to make a movement for revolution that will get rid of their cops and their police. We're telling them we're getting organized now for a revolution that'll put an end to their marauding and their murderous police day after day and night after night. That's what we're going to do. So if you're going to be part of that, come join us, come walk with us. Throw a fist in the air and come with us now as we get to the 28th precinct.
Go, Limp!
Who are we? Who are we? Who are we?
Revolution Club!
Who are we?
Revolution Club!
This is what humanity needs us to do. We cannot allow the naysayers to chill us from doing that. When you go out, folks gonna tell you this can't be done. Revolution ain't possible. This system is too powerful. Just like people told Harriet Tubman, you can't lead these people to freedom away from this plantation. How you gonna do that? They got the patrollers, patty rollers they call them, they got dogs to stick on you. Don't even try it. Well, Harriet didn't let that stop her. She went for it because she knew that freedom is what people needed. Well, that's what we need today. We're not trying to get free from the old style plantation. We're trying to get free from this capitalist imperialist system and the hell it brings down on us, which is nothing but a new style plantation and modern day slavery. We need to do this. We can do this. And that's the declaration that I wanted to make here today.
A ceremony right here to declare the revolution that we are getting organized for. And let me say this, you all are recruited into the revolution. Everybody who's listening, everybody who's watching, everybody who wants to live in a better world, step into this revolution now. We don't have no time to waste. And there's two ways. Stay for this ceremony. It's going to be very important. It's going to be very moving. But two things we want you to leave here with. One, next Saturday at Revolution Books, 3:00 p.m. What time?
3:00 p.m.
Where?
Revolution Books.
Revolution Books is in Harlem. 132nd and Malcolm X. Follow us at NYC Rev Club. And that's how you can stay connected with us, or if you got one of those flyers, there's a phone number. But we want you all to come because there's lessons to learn today. What did we do well? What could we do better? How do we organize more and more people in this movement for revolution? This revolution needs you. We have a lot of strengths, but we have problems that we need you to go to work with us to solve. So it's very good that you are here today, but we gotta go further. We gotta go get the thousands who can get the millions to make this revolution real. Are you with that? Yeah. All right, the Saturday after that, you might have questions. What is this revolution? What's the system it's gonna replace it with? How do we go from being so fucking small to be able to go and get these millions of people? What stands in the way in the people's thinking? We're gonna have a discussion, a deep, deep dive into this revolution, the strategy. You've heard a lot about the strategy, about BA. You're gonna come, you're gonna learn more about that and come with like your biggest questions about the revolution. So that'll be the Saturday after that. All right, and now, we're gonna do a ceremony. So the people who've been asked to come up and do the 5 stops, we're gonna start here with Mark. And why don't, I think we're gonna, instead of getting up on the truck, why don't we just stand right here and do it? And then I'll give you a red flag after.
The forms of oppression that this system can't reform away, but that the revolution can take care of. The first of the 5 stops is to stop the genocidal persecution, the mass incarceration, the police brutality and murder of black and brown people.
All right.
The degradation, dehumanization, and subjugation of all women everywhere, and all oppression based on gender and sexual orientation.
Third stop, walls of empire all means of occupation, and crimes against humanity.
Stop the demonization, criminalization, and deportations of immigrants and the militarization of the border. Free the immigrants! Abolish ICE!
I'm having a little trouble.
Stop capitalism, imperialism from destroying our planet. We have two choices. Either live with all this and condemn future generations to the same or worse if they have a future at all, or make revolution. And I want you to say, I'm going to say, what do you choose? And you say, I choose revolution. What do you choose?
I choose revolution!
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 All right. And so lastly, we're going to have Sable and Captain from the Revolution come read the points of attention of the revolution. And these
1. We base ourselves on and strive to represent the highest interests of humanity, revolution and communism. We do not tolerate using the revolution for personal gain. 2. We fight for a world where all the chains are broken. Women, men, and differently gendered people are equals and comrades. We do not tolerate physically or verbally abusing women or treating them as sexual objects, nor do we tolerate insults or jokes about people's gender or sexual orientation. 3, we fight for a world without borders and for equality among different peoples, cultures, and languages. We do not tolerate insults, jokes, or derogatory names about a person's race, nationality, or language.
Number 4, we stand with the most oppressed and never lose sight of their potential to emancipate humanity, nor of our responsibility to lead them to do that. We work to win people of all backgrounds to take part in the revolution and do not tolerate revenge among the people. 5, we search for and fight for the truth, no matter how unpopular, even as we listen to and learn from observations, insights, and criticisms of others. 6, we are going for an actual overthrow of this motherfucking system and a whole better way beyond the destructive, vicious conflicts of today between the people. Because we are serious at this stage, we do not initiate violence, and we oppose all violence against the people and among the people.
And we are making this declaration all over this country, so know today that you are a part of a national movement that's getting organized for this. We are going to be marching through the streets of Harlem, through the projects, to the New York City Police Department at the 28th Precinct. Why are we going there? Because the police kill, terrorize, and brutalize black people over and over and over again. And if this was the only thing that this system was doing, it would be enough to make a revolution to bring this whole system down. But unfortunately, it is not the only horror that this system is bringing down on the people. Because the truth is, that the police, they are the enforcers of this system, like the police all over this country. This system of capitalism, imperialism, that holds people down, that's destroying our environment, that keeps women in chains, that keeps people, immigrants, demonized, terrorized. But we have a strategy and we have a plan to bring this whole system down, and today you are a part of a force that's going to make that real. So give it up for yourselves. And like I said, we have a strategy and a plan for revolution. And we have a leader too, Bob Avakian, who has developed a strategy for how we could bring this system down and bring a new system into being. And you know what? He's an old white guy. Get over it. Kamala Harris is a woman of color. She was a pig prosecutor, and she just made comments saying that she doesn't want immigrants to come here from places like Guatemala. So go ahead and follow her if you want, but I ain't following you. This revolution, I want to say what we mean by a revolution. We mean nothing less than to bring down, to overthrow, and to dismantle this system. Defeat, I said defeat its armed forces and its institutions of repression. That's what we are getting organized for here today. And we are going to go through the streets of Harlem, and we're going to inspire, and we're going to bring hope to all the people who hate the way things are, but think that there's nothing that can be done, who think that there's no way out of this. We are going to awaken them, we are going to inspire them, and we're going to call on them to step into something that's really worth living and really worth fighting for. Because there is no future. This is a hard truth that we all have to think about and that we all have to confront. And we got to get a lot of other people to confront this too. There is no future worth living for millions of people in this country and humanity as a whole under this system. But there is a future to start living and fighting for right now. And that's revolution. And so I'm going to tell you, I told you a little bit about what we're going to do. We're going to march very soon. You're going to hear from Carl Dix. We are going to go marching, and like I said, we're going to go through these streets. We're going to be chanting. We're going to be vibrant. People are going to be joining in. They're going to be saying, who are those people? I want to join this revolution. And we're going to struggle with people too, to be the kind of people that they need to be part of this revolution. And so we're going to be marching from here, and then we're going to be going to the New York City police precinct, and we're going to do a ceremony there. And one point of attention of the revolution is that, well, the first thing I want to say is that we fought to have a permit today. So what we're doing is very legal and very needed. And we have lawyers and legal observers here. So I just want to put the NYPD on notice of that.
Put them on notice. Let them know.
The other thing we want to put people on notice of and the NYPD on notice of is that we're demanding no observers, no NYPD photographers, and no retaliation against people who step into this revolution today. Because part of what people told us was that they were and we oppose all violence against the people and among the people. And so that's a standard that we're going to have today. And it's part of strengthening, going and getting the thousands. And just the last thing I want to say is that, look, this empire is in big friggin' trouble. It's caught up in a lot of solutions that it doesn't have. We are small now, but let me tell you this. All empires that have fallen have started with a small group of people who stood up, who rallied the thousands, who got the millions to bring this empire down. And that's what we are doing today. That's what we are doing today. So I'm going to do a chant, and then I want you to give a warm welcome to Carl Dix. So this is the first chant we're going to do. Okay, repeat after me. No more beef, no more divides.
No more beef, no more divides.
Ready to fight revolutionary times.
Ready to fight revolutionary times.
Seize the day, seize the hour.
Seize the day, seize the hour.
Let's get free, revolutionary power.
Let's get free.
All right. We are about ready to step out. And let's be very, very clear. What are we stepping out to do? Why are we doing this? We are doing this to declare to the world that we are acting for the emancipation of humanity. We are stepping out to be part of building up a revolution that can end oppression, exploitation, and the divisions among people once and for all. And doing that will require revolution. Like Emma said, this is being done in Los Angeles. This is being done in Chicago. And it's being done right here in Harlem. We're acting together to do this. This is a movement that's across the country. Now, why do we have to do this? We have to do it because we are sick and tired of seeing so many people suffer all around the world, being abused and treated as less than human beings. We are sick and tired of the way the world is today, and we know that the only way to transform it is to make revolution and get rid of this system. You can't transform it by electing somebody to office, getting a Democrat into office, getting a black president, getting a black and Asian female vice president. You can do all of that. That has all been done, and still the horrors come down. Still the police brutalize and murder people and get away with it. We're up here in Harlem, so let me tell you something.
Tell me something.
57 years ago this summer, James Powell, a black high school student, was gunned down by an off-duty NYPD officer. Harlem exploded in rebellion on that day. The rebellion continued for a number of days. People had pitched battles with the police. That was 57 years ago. Since then, people have protested. People have rose in rebellion against the police murdering our people. People have demonstrated. They've had electoral campaigns. They've lobbied for new laws. But you know what the deal is. The police still brutalize and murder black and brown people and get away with it. That still goes down because that horror is built into the fabric of this capitalist imperialist system. This system can't and won't end that horror, just like they can't and won't end their demonization and criminalization of immigrants. Just like they can't and won't end the way that their system chews up the environment of the very planet we live on. Just like they won't back away from the attacks they bring down on women and LGBTQ people. This is how this system works. So we are not out here today to ask the system's frontline enforcers to be a little less savage when they brutalize people, when they murder people, and when they spread terror among people. We ain't out here today to say, hey, could you ease up on your attacks on women's rights, on LGBTQ rights? We're not asking them, will you slow down your devastation of the environment of the planet? Because we know they cannot and will not do that. We are out here today to declare that we are organizing now for a real revolution, because that's what it's going to take. That's what's needed to stop this shit from coming down once and for all, and that is what humanity needs. See, because look, when you get out here and you start talking about changing things, some people will tell you, hey man, this is the way it's always been. It's always going to be like that. Well, that's bullshit. Things do not have to be this way. These horrors can be ended, but they cannot be ended as long as the capitalist imperialist system is dominant in effect. So we got to step up, stand up, and act to organize people now into a movement for a real revolution in order to get rid of this system at the soonest possible time, when the time is right to do that. Now, for people who would like to see that happen but question whether it's possible, look at what people have done. Look at last summer, when millions of people all across the country took to the streets in outrage over the murder of George Floyd by that pig Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis, calling for an end to police murder of black people and an end to white supremacy. Look at the outpouring of people at the devastation of the environment of the planet a few years back. Look at the way women have stood up in Mexico, in Argentina, in Europe, and here against the attacks that have been brought down on them. That shows our potential power. What we need to do is connect that power to a movement that knows the way out of this. That's what we need to do, and that's what we're here to do today. Because look, we got some things going for us as far as making a revolution. One big thing we got is we got a leader for this revolution in Bob Avakian. We got a leader who has brought forward a new framework for human emancipation. A leader who knows the way out of this mess. Who wields a scientific method to deeply understand what we're up against, what the obstacles are, but also how we can overcome these obstacles. He has used that method to develop a plan and a strategy for making revolution in a country like this. He has authored a blueprint of a vision, the way that society could be after the revolution and after this system is done away with. It's called the Constitution for a New Socialist Republic in North America. We've got leadership for this revolution. We've got plan and strategy for this revolution. But we also got a big problem. Far too few people know about this revolution. Nowhere near enough people are down with this revolution. But we got to go to work on that, and that's what we're doing today. We're going to work on that. We are taking to people the reality of this revolution. We are showing people a disciplined, organized force that is mobilizing people for this revolution. We are challenging people to get with this, and we're struggling with people over the things that stand in their way as far as getting with it. We have to put that out to people today, and it's out to people here right now. You got to get with this revolution. If you're already with it, get further into it. Dig into Bob Avakian's works. And as you're learning more about it, spread them. And when you do that, let's just be for real. We're going to encounter people, we're going to encounter some naysayers. We're going to run into the people who say revolution, nice idea, but it ain't possible. And that's just them being polite. They might get unpolite too. We're going to run into people who say, your leader is an old white guy? Are you kidding me, Carl? You want me to follow an old white guy? We're going to run into these kind of naysayers and more. So let me start with that second point. Yes, I want you to follow an old white guy, because Bob Avakian has done the work to chart the path for getting out from under the hell of this system. I want you to be serious about stopping the hell that's coming down on people. Don't front, don't posture, get serious about it. Dig into it. And look, a lot of the people who tell us they don't want to follow an old white guy followed Barack Obama. He was a black guy. What did you get from that? He was the commander-in-chief of the U.S. empire.
Don't say it.
He dropped more drone missiles on villages in Asia and Africa than any other U.S. president and any other ruler of any other government around the world. He deported more immigrants to this country than any other president. The police continued to murder and brutalize black people during his watch. Don't come to me and say, well, I can't follow an old white guy, because I'm going to tell you, stop opening your mouth and letting the system's words come out of it. Let's get serious about this. We got to stop these horrors. We need a revolution to do it, and we need leadership that's capable of doing it. And this leader, Bob Avakian, is capable of doing it. I know this man. I met him decades ago. I encountered him one night, and we began to argue over what was the way for the revolution to go forward. We were still talking the next morning when the sun came up, but we weren't arguing anymore. We were digging into the reality. We were trying to figure it out. We were learning from each other in terms of doing it. And it struck me. Here we have a leader who looks at things from the perspective of the future we're trying to bring into being, who is serious about doing that, and who has thrown his life into working on that. That kind of leadership is precious. It must not be squandered. I've been a follower of BA since that late night meeting, and you got to be a follower of BA too if you want to see all these horrors ended. So dig into his work, get with this revolution, and let's go forward. I want to speak to one more question, because Emma raised this question of fear. And look, this system is powerful. They do come down on people who they fear. But see, that's the thing people don't realize. They're coming down on you because they fear you.
That's right.
They know their system can't work in your interest.
That's right.
They know that all you'll get from it is one horror after another. So they come down on you to keep you from standing up, to keep you from rising up, to keep you from getting together, to keep you from bringing together people from other sections of society to stand with you. And they especially fear you connecting with the leadership that can lead to a revolution, that can get us out of this mess. So what we have to do, and what we're working on here today, is bringing their worst nightmare to life.
Right.
That's why as we march through these streets, we're going to be calling on people to get with this revolution. We're going to be calling on people to get with the leadership for this revolution. We're going to be calling on them to step into this, be a part of this growing disciplined force that is manifesting the revolution in the streets, here in Harlem, in Chicago, in Los Angeles, and other places. That's what we need to be doing, and we need to be doing it because it is what humanity needs. That's what's motivating us. We're not into how do we get something for ourselves out of it. How do we step over other people's backs in order to get ours? In fact, people got to get out of that. We got to be part of getting them out of that. Right. We got to call on them to stop doing that shit. That's what the system wants you to do. Get with this revolution club. Get with this movement for an actual revolution. Take up its points of attention and be part of mobilizing and organizing people into a movement for a real revolution that can get everybody free. Thank you, sisters and brothers and everybody.
Y'all ready to march?